Hello everyone, and welcome to the Commander's Forge. My name is Andy Bentley, and I am your host. Now, here at the Commander's Forge, we talk about Magic, Commander, and basically anything I want to, and in the general ways that I enjoy them. And today I wanted to pose a question. Especially with remote play and VEDH, how long would you sit after getting taken out to see the end of a game? Let me give you a little context. The other day, I was playing my Yumori Planeswalker deck, and I was in a game with Andy Flory, who was playing his Niambi Esteemed Speaker Legendary Creature Reanimator deck. He had reanimated an Avacyn and board wiped. Now at this point, I had Yumori out, I had Omnixilus Reignited out, and I had just played Eugene the Ineffable and made a 2/2 Spirit. So then he board wipes, which leaves me with just Eugene and Omnixilus. Now, I was already sitting at 4 poison counters because the player playing Alila had swung at me with a Blighted Agent that I had Abrupt Decayed, and then he had played Alila and put Phyresis and Ethereal Armor on her and attacked me for 4. And I'd played the Omnixilus to destroy the Alila. We had a thing. But at this point, Andy was the problem. So I exile the Avacyn. I then use the Omnixilus to kill his Drannith Magistrate so that I can replay my commander. And then I played Nissa, Who Shakes the World. And I forgot to plus her. So at this point, I now have Yumori and a 2/2 colorless spirit on the ground. Then the Alila player takes their turn, and they play Skithiryx, give it haste, and hit me for another 4 poison. So I'm now at 8 poison. Like, okay, well, let's see what's going on. It goes past the Valky player's turn, back to my turn. I don't really do all that much. I draw a couple cards, play a land. Like, I'm not actively being a problem. Again, I forget to plus my Nissa, and that was the last turn I took. So I had a 2/2 Spirit, Yumori, Eugene, and Nissa. And 'twas deemed that I was too much of a threat. Now, Andy couldn't do anything about it, and the Alila player couldn't do anything about it, but Valky reanimated the Skithiryx and took me out. So, right, that was maybe 30 minutes into that game. Which, don't get me wrong, I don't mind losing. But I try to stick around to see, who wins, how they win, so I can track that stuff. And this game drug out for almost 2 more hours. I Yeah. I had muted and, I was paying attention. And then I was scrolling on TikTok and watching the game. And then I was, shuffling decks and watching the game. I'm just wondering, how long will you wait at the end of a game to see if A, they want to play another game, or B, just to see the end of the game? I don't know, just a thought I had. And that's probably going to do it for the first part of the podcast. We'll kick it to a quick intermission, and then I will be right back with some of the cards that I'm excited about from Modern Horizons 2. We'll be right back. Hey, did you know that for as little as $1 a month, you can help support this podcast? All you have to do is go to patreon.com/commandersforge, and that is CMDR_forge. That's it. That's all I got to say about it. If you want to help support the podcast, you can go there. Okay, and we are back after 6.5 hours of technical difficulties. But let's jump into it. We're going to talk about some of the spoilers from Modern Horizons 2 that I am personally excited for one reason or another. And we are going to start with Esper Sentinel. It is a single white mana. It is a 1/1 artifact creature, human soldier. And whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, you draw a card unless that player pays X, where X is Esper Sentinel's power. And yes, it is a 1/1. And it will force you to say, are you going to pay the 1? But this is a step in the right direction for white, and honestly, I think white's almost where it needs to be able to hang with the other colors. The one thing I think we're missing is a rampant growth effect, something where you can search your lane for a plains and, put it into the battlefield and normalize that over, the things that say put a plains into your hand. But hey, that's just me. I have, 4 or 5 decks that I'm going to pick up this for. It's going in Linden. It's going to go in Queen Marchesa. It's a stupid card, and I love it. After that, we'll take a look at, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher this name, but it's Sibling, God of Sea and Sky. It's 1 blue for a 3/4 merfolk god. It has indestructible as long as you control 2 other merfolk, and whenever it attacks, you draw a card, and your other merfolk have ward 1, which means whenever they are targeted by a spell, it costs 1 additional mana. It has been a very long time since I have gotten a merfolk to update Kumena with, and so far there are 2 that I get to update him with, but this one interests me more than the other one. Yeah, that's basically all I got for it. Next up, we have a card that, honestly, I wanted to bring it up just so I could say the name, but also it's also a decent card, and that card is Damn. It's a black sorcery that destroys target creature. A creature destroyed this way cannot be regenerated, but you can overload it for 2 black, and it becomes, the next in the line of Wrath of God and Damnation. But I like having the utility of being able to just say, no, this one creature in particular needs to go. Honestly, I can't say how many decks I'm going to put in. I have 2, three, four, at least 5 decks that would want this effect. The one after that we're going to talk about is Ragavan, the Nimble Pilfer. It is a single red mana for a monkey pirate. It is a 2/1. When Ragavan deals combat damage, you create a treasure and you exile the top card of that player's library. Until the end of turn, you may cast that card. And then it also has dash for 1 and a red, which means that you can pay 1 and a red, you put it into play, it gains haste, and then you return it to your hand at the end of the turn. I'm just happy to see that Ragavan got its own little card. I'm a little off because it doesn't reference Kari Zev at all, but again, Pirate's got a pirate, and Beckett Brass is always recruiting. And then the green card that I chose to talk about is, of course, Chatterfang, the Squirrel General. It's 2 and a green for a 3/3 Squirrel Warrior. Has Forest Walk. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus that many 1/1 green squirrel creatures tokens are created as instead. And you can pay a black and sacrifice X squirrels, and target creature gets plus X minus X till end of turn. Now, I know everyone's going to go crazy about building squirrels. I'm not. But where I do see this is absolutely stupid is in something like Najila, or in any counters tokens-based deck. Who knows? I might be putting Selvala back together, or something Abzan. Maybe Rayhan with something. Either way, interesting card and definitely worth spending a few seconds to talk about. So those are the colored cards that are the single mana colored cards I wanted to talk about. So let's move into the multicolored card that I want to talk about. And it is Karth the Lion. It is 2, a black and a green for a 3/5 human warrior. When he enters the battlefield or a planeswalker you control dies, you look at the top 7 cards of your library and you may reveal a planeswalker card from among them and put it into your hand. And planeswalkers' loyalty abilities you activate cost an additional +1 loyalty to activate. So I see what Wizards is doing here, and I already did it a year ago. They're trying to make green-black Super Friends a thing. My thing is, I already have Yumori, and cost reduction is better than loyalty reduction. But Karth the Lion is good enough that it might crack the code in Yumori and become the second creature in the deck. Well, technically it would bring the creature count up to 3 because Yumori, and then there's 1 creature in the deck. You get what I mean. Card is stupid. Do I expect to see a ton of green-black Planeswalker decks now? Maybe. I'm going to stick with Yumori. On to the colorless card that we are going to talk about. It has to be sort of Hearth and Home. It's a 3 mana equipment. The equipped creature gets +2/+2 protection from white and green. And when equipped creature does combat damage to a player, you can exile up to 1 creature you control and search your library for a basic land card. You put both of them onto the battlefield under your control at the same time, and then shuffle your library. It has equipped for 2. It is the continuation of the swords cycle. I think the only thing that's a little weird about it is most of the swords, the two things it does when you do combat damage helps you and hurts an opponent. So the fact that it blinks one of your own creatures is just kind of weird to me. But, everyone's gonna love blinking stuff. Like, in my case, this is probably gonna go into Niv Mizzet Reborn for shenanigans. Even though that deck doesn't run a ton of basic lands, I don't care. Yeah. Alright, and then let's wrap this up with the last card I want to talk about, which leads into an interesting discussion that I'll probably save for another day. Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth, is a legendary land that says each land is a forest in addition to its other types. So it's a color-shifted Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth. I do wonder if that means they're going to color shift Urborg for every color, but who knows? Green just kind of gets everything at this point. And it does bring up the question of, will they ever have a card like Cabal Coffers, but for green? Because that's where the real combo lies. Yeah. That's basically all I have to say about it. I mean, it's an interesting card, to say the least. Yeah, it's been a long day of trying to get my computer to cooperate. I do believe I'm going to call it there. Once again, if you would like to support the podcast and help me grow past, what it currently is, you can find my Patreon at patreon.com/commandersforge, and wherever it is you listen to or view the podcast, like, comment, rate, share, subscribe, whatever it is you can do there to help push to new people. And thank you for listening, and I will see you next time. That brings us to the end of the podcast. I would like to thank Nate and Erica Jacobs for designing my logo, and Cody Mulpey and Ian Foss for allowing me to use a sample of music from their band, The Crypt. The podcast can be found on YouTube by searching Commander's Forge. The podcast is Commander's Forge, that is CMDR_Forge, on Twitter. I can be found on Twitter at BentzMr, that is BENTZMR. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time, and until then, here's to fun games and sick plays.